I'm Stephen Carroll and this is Here's Why, where we take one news story and explain it in just a few minutes with our experts here at Bloomberg. Over 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan asked voters a question that's shaped the political conversation for decades since.
Next Tuesday, all of you will go to the polls. Will stand there in the polling place and make a decision. I think when you make that decision, it might be well if you would ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier for you to go and buy things in the stores than it was 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment in the country than there was 4 years ago?
Fast forward to 2024 and it's still, as President Clinton's strategist James Carville once said, the economy stupid. And judging by how it's doing, Joe Biden should be a shoo-in in November's election.
This economy has been incredibly resilient, stronger than I expected.
Consumer spending on services rose over 4%. That's like the highest in 2 decades.
The U.S. economy is chugging along pretty well.
U.S. exceptionalism still stands.
There's 1,000 things that can go wrong tomorrow, but right now everything's in pretty good shape.
The US has dodged recession, but is there a vibe session? Here's why inflation is coming down, but voters don't seem to care. We've got our senior editor, Wendy Benjaminson, with us from Washington to help explain. Hi, Wendy. How well can we say the US economy is doing?
Well, by all the measures we use here at Bloomberg and that the government uses, the economy is doing very well. Unemployment is at historic lows. Inflation, the rate of inflation is coming down. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit 40,000 last week, which is a record. So in all these areas that we understand to measure the economy is doing well.
So the data is all telling us one story, but what does our latest polling tell us about how people are feeling about the economy?
Well, I think your term vibe session was just perfect because all our Bloomberg News Morning Consult monthly poll of voters in the swing states, the states in the U.S. that matter to the election where we don't know where the outcome is, shows that voters are deeply pessimistic about the economy and its future. And to Ronald Reagan's remark that you cited at the top, we even ask, do you feel better than you did 4 years ago? And the answer is a solid, resounding no. We asked by the end of the year, do you see the inflation rate getting better or worse? 55% said it would get worse. Do you feel the overall U.S. economy is going to get better or worse? 51% said it would get worse. And then when we ask them, how do you best describe your relationship with the U.S. economy? The choice, I am not doing well financially and the U.S. economy is not doing well, was cited by 40% of our swing state voters. So they're feeling lousy and they're going to take it out on Joe Biden.
It's complicated sort of situation. Why do we think people aren't celebrating what we are seeing in the data, which is things like, the rate of inflation coming down?
Well, because consumers aren't feeling it yet. So if you're going to a grocery store in Michigan and butter is still $6 a pound, which is what you were paying in 2021, as opposed to the $3 a pound you were paying in 2020 or 2019, when Trump was president, you look around and think, I don't know what they're talking about at Bloomberg, and the prices haven't come down at all. And President Joe Biden has complained that retailers and manufacturers are not lowering their prices now that the rate of inflation is coming down. But like I said, voters just aren't feeling it.
Are they blaming Joe Biden or blaming the retailers, or where are they pointing the finger when it comes to them not feeling the effects of things improving?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because another question we asked is, who do you blame for the state of the U.S. economy? And I think all of us here know, and people who study it know, that the president of the United States actually doesn't have that much power over it. There are so many external factors. And yet the majority blame the president, and they believe they were better off under Donald Trump. And the truth is, the economy was doing fine under Donald Trump until a global pandemic hit, which Joe Biden inherited and has been trying with varying levels of success to get us out of that.
Is there any way to change voters' minds before polling day?
Well,
big question.
It is a huge question. The feelings about these two candidates are so baked in that I think it would have to take a dramatic change in inflation. Those who want to work are working. The middle class and lower economic classes will tell you that, yes, I'm working and I have to have 2 jobs to pay my rent, to buy a house. This is also affecting young voters. I should have brought up borrowing rates earlier. Interest rates are so high that people are graduating from college and they don't look forward to buying a house. And rents are tremendously high. And so I don't know how Joe Biden turns it around except to say it's going to get better. But that's a lot of trust in a politician, which Americans just don't have these days.
Yeah, it certainly is. Is this just an American thing? Do we see this phenomenon in other parts of the world as well?
We are seeing it across Europe and certainly in Latin America, yes. Argentine President Milei recently was pounding his fist on a podium and saying, "No hay plata, there is no money. Stop printing money, we don't have it." So it is happening all over the world, and that is why I think you're seeing more and more conservative and right-wing governments being elected.
Thanks very much, Wendy. That's Bloomberg's senior editor in Washington, Wendy Benjaminson there. And for more explanations like this from our team of 2,700 journalists and analysts around the world, search for Quick Take on the Bloomberg website or the Bloomberg Business app. I'm Stephen Carroll and this is Here's Why. I'll be back next week with more. Thanks for listening.